Hello, and welcome to another 8-minute demo. Today we're going to be talking about sanitizing OIS exports. Keeping those exports clean when you pass them from person to person or post them on a blog or want to share them in general. My name is Charles Joy. I'm a Senior Business Development Manager at Microsoft. What I'm going to show you now is how to export a policy, clean it up, and then export it again, essentially. So there's a couple-step process. I'm doing this for the Standard OIS Logging policies that I exported for you on the previous blog post, but I figured I'd record this since I'm doing it anyway. So I don't have any variables or anything like that, but if I did, obviously they'd be stored in here with a whole bunch of other stuff. There'd be schedules and counters and things like that. And of course, any of these objects could use those variables, but when I built this, I didn't have anything. But I will export them and clean them out just to show you the process. So I'm going to export. I'm going to give it a name. I'm just going to call it dirty because it has a whole bunch of stuff in there I don't want. And then, obviously, I didn't use any counters or variables, computer groups or schedules, but let's say I did use variables and I'd want to capture those. I can pick and choose things that I want to export. Now I do have global configurations that I'm going to include, and I'm going to clean out the other ones. So I'm going to leave it at variables and global configuration, and then we'll hit finish. So it's going to export everything, all the variables, regardless if I use them or not, which is a good point. I didn't use any, but it's still exporting them. So this is a workaround for that process. So now that I have it exported, I'm going to go ahead and close the client, and I'm going to go into the database configuration tool. I'm going to choose the local computer. That's where my SQL server is. You choose wherever yours is. And I'm going to use an existing database. Now I created a database a little while back called Opalis Clean. You may have seen it when we were browsing through in the SQL tables. I have an Opalis Clean. Now this is an instance of Opalis that has nothing in it. I've deleted everything out of it. So I'm going to use that as my buffer so I can import, delete, export, and then everything will be clean. So I'm going to choose Opalis Clean. What I'm doing is swapping where Opalis thinks the backend data is. So you just hit yes to the prompts. Everything's successful. I'm not going to actually run anything. I'm just opening the OIS client. And you can see I don't have anything in here. Now don't be afraid. That's good because this is our clean place. So I'm going to import the dirty export. And of course I could say at this point I don't want to bring the variables in, but I want to show you how to clean them up. So I'm going to uncheck the other ones, but make sure this is checked because I do have stuff to clean up there. Okay, so I'm going to hit finish. I was bringing all the variables in. Like I said, I didn't use any, but it's still bringing them in. I know that's a pain for a lot of you. All right, so we can check. No schedules, no counters, good. No computer groups. Oh, but there's a bunch of variables. Well, let's clean those out so I don't give those to you. Now this may take a little bit because there's a bunch of variables in there. And of course, I do have some other 8-minute demo stuff that I did previously, but nothing for this one, so I'm still going to delete that. If I did have something, I would just keep what I wanted. So I'm going to hit delete. So I have no variables, no schedules, no counters, no computer groups. We do have policies, so let's take a look at those. And there we go. Now you can see the icons are here, and that's valid. That's good. Now if you have question marks in there, that means you didn't have the integration pack actually installed or registered with the database. So make sure if you're going to do this that your clean database has all the integration packs registered and everything is installed on the machine where you're doing this. But as you can see, I have the workflows, and the configuration stuff is still intact, but up in the options I have a bunch of stuff that I have to get rid of from my previous demos and things like that. So if I had stuff, I have to remove that. I'm going to go through each one of these, and unfortunately it's a lot of work. So I'm going to do that, and once I'm finished I'll be back. Alright, I'm on my last one, I believe. Hit remove, finish, and go to my Standard OIS Logging, make sure it's still there. And I'll just let's see, SQL Server goes here, so you'll have to change that. And then logging database goes here, and then you can change whatever you want. Hit finish, finish, but these things are still intact, so we're fine. That's the whole reason I did all of this. So, no schedules, no variables, no counters, no computer groups, policies, and the only thing, and I made sure they're all clean. The only thing I have is the standard OIS logging. So now we're clean. So I'm going to export it again. And take the dirty off since it is now clean. I'll put a date on there. And I'm going to uncheck this. There's no need to have any of that. But there is nothing, so it doesn't matter. But I like to be thorough. And we're going to do export global configurations. Hit finish. Hit OK. And last thing you do before you leave is you delete the what you brought in here. And of course I would go ahead and delete this guy so that this is clean for the next time I need to clean something. Now sometimes I do go back and test to make sure things work, so let's do that since we're live recording here. And in this way I can leave everything the same because I know it's clean. And now if we look, there'll be no counters, variables, or schedules, no computer groups. We have our policies. Everything looks good. Configuration's still there. If we go into standard OIS logging, it is there. If we go into like what was there before mom or SCOM was there, there's nothing. So we're good to go. Again, I'm going to clean this out for the next time. And then I'll show you how to swap back real quick. So I'm going to make sure this is gone too, again. We're good to go. Close the client. Open up the database configuration tool. Next, wherever my SQL server is, use an existing, choose the Palace folder because it's not the clean one. Finish, yes, okay, and then we'll go into the client. And everything should be back to where we saw it. And everything's there, all my stuff, all that variables that I had, and let's go back and check that SCOM one, and that's there too because it's different databases. This is the quote-unquote dirty one when we're going to be exporting. So that's how you go ahead and clean your exports up. It's a tedious process, I know, but that's what works right now. So I hope that you get something out of that. I know it's tedious, but at least there is a workaround. So good luck with your exports, and we'll see you again on another 8-minute demo.
We certainly appreciate you watching. Thank you.